were saying? David?
I just did, I mean, July is such a big month, and I didn't know if in advance, some of them, they could start doing stuff maybe online, or...
Well, no, this isn't going to happen
Until November.
I know that, but I mean, if the staff can start to learn how to do it, or...
As you know, we're going through a transition, and one of the things I'm concerned about, and I hope to get some indication from, is what the human resource aspect of this migration will be. Because I think that's very important for us to understand and be able to manage that process.
Just to expand a little bit on the comment about the contract numbering, because I did specifically ask that, but I just came across my notes. And the contract module would allow you to enter an amount for a period of time, and then we'll track and link to the line items within that as you're spending. It creates a requisition to a purchase order and then reference numbers to the contract. At any time, they can check the status and would create an encumbrance if spending exceeds the balance. So I think that, again, it establishes a committed versus discretionary funds as well, is what I was told. It also has a workflow feature that can send automatic emails to certain people within the department.
Okay. You want a motion at this point? I don't think we need a motion to go forward, and if anybody has any objections.
Great, thank you.
Let's do that. Thank you, Arthur. Now, you're on again for the, are there any further questions on the Finance Subcommittee? We are going to meet again on May 2nd at 8 o'clock, new meeting, Janine, to discuss, sit down with Bill Richardson from Jacobs and go through all of the engineering projects, just to make sure we have a handle on what's being done and what isn't being done. Some of them are on hold and some of them aren't, so.
On the financial thing, there was a couple of meetings ago, I think Art had asked for some reports and some data. Has any of that come forward yet?
Not really.
Okay.
We're working on it. I think, you know, we've got, I've frankly, not because I don't think we need it, but because of other things going on, put a little bit of a damper on that as the top priority, but we do need to move forward.
Which I understand.
Yeah.
I mean, we had to have the numbers for the meeting this morning, more than we needed to try to figure out maybe quite exactly how all the capital deficit tracking happened, but I do think it's something we should get back to.
I'm sorry, just to finish on the meeting, Janine, it's the 2nd at 8 o'clock in the SRE building.
SRE?
Yes. And the subject matter is review of engineering projects. All right.
Environmental?
Environmental, please.
Go ahead.
We had a meeting this afternoon, Sheila and I, with the Energy Environment Subcommittee, along with Bill Richardson and consultant Peggy Fantazzi. We had a series of topics. I'll just run through them pretty quickly to update the commission. There's a spill prevention plan that the airport is required to have and to update every 5 years, and Dave and Peggy worked on an update which was not a full update of the plan, but a letter to the EPA that updated just to current conditions without going the whole way of bringing in a professional engineer and a licensed site professional. And we're going to wait to see at this point whether or not the EPA will accept that as the current update, or whether we'll have to go more in depth in order to get that signed off by the licensed site professional. But I would express my appreciation to both Dave and Peggy for their work to try to get that done and hopefully, you know, result in some cost savings. We're going to have to provide them one more update of simply the new manager's name. A lot of it is just updating data, as well as some of the lease changes and that sort of thing. The other thing that we talked about was that there's the air quality monitoring station that's been installed out at the end of Old South Road. We did get the first round of some results from that testing, but which aren't showing any significant levels of concern. They're actually quite far below, but There's also been limited use of the runways, and you know, that I think we will recheck on that midway through the summer and see where we are there once we get our prevailing southwest winds as well, which would carry any of the particulate matter towards the testing station, whereas with the prevailing northerly winds, they're taking it off to the south shore or away from the station. We have 2 projects out there that are related to the 1995 Conservation and Management Permit from the Natural Heritage and Endangered Species Program. And those really have to do with our land management activities, our grasslands, and really overall mow schedule. And 2 things that are sort of out there, one that we've discussed at this level before is the controlled burn. And as you're aware, we had done 1 RFP and not received responses. Since then, staff and management have met with the land bank and entered into a memorandum of understanding that now I think will help if we're going to refine that request for proposal, and hopefully would result in both cost savings as well as receiving some responses to that. Ultimately, that now is not likely to happen in the spring, so perhaps we can get that done in the fall. The other portion of the conservation C&M permit is required plant monitoring, and obviously there are somewhat significant expenses with both of these activities, and so what we discussed at the energy subcommittee level is that we try to move forward with the burn and explain to Natural Heritage that we believe we'll get the most environmental bang for the buck, if you will, with the burn in terms of helping to reestablish grassland habitat, and then seek a bit of a hopefully be able to do the plant monitoring at some further time in the future. In other words, try to prioritize between the 2, and exactly whether that will be acceptable or what the results are would remain to be seen. I did ask the consultant their opinion if we were to go to them and ask to do neither of them and explain the financial situation, and the response was not positive, and we may
just like the FAA.
Right. We have a long history with Natural Heritage, and some things, past things not necessarily being done in compliance and not having the really good lines of communication. As I reported at an earlier meeting, I attended the technical advisory committee meeting with Natural Heritage. I know some of the folks there as well from my own professional life, and I feel that it was the lines of communication are very much improved as we all sat around the table, and so we wouldn't want to damage that relationship or result in any kind of enforcement action. So we're hoping that if we could approach them with the one project and be open about the financial situation that we're facing, that we may be able to proceed in that manner. So that's really the update, and we'll keep you posted on that. And before I move on, I guess if there was any questions on that particular item. We also reviewed with Bill Richardson some suggestions for really trying to up an education type program with respect to ground operations for APU use in the ramp. And that's just something we're gonna follow up. I'll follow up a little bit. I've got a list of things. I might try to get a meeting at some point with Bill and maybe Jeff, and we can, I'll share some of Bill's ideas. Much of it has to do with maybe coming up with some brochures, really tying it back to customer service, and it all together, tying all those pieces back together so that we can, as well as trying to, in certain cases, identifying some of our largest operators, such as NetJets, and seeing that we maybe put some of our literature into the upper levels of their management with sort of just a request to do what they can, and it's in their clients as well best interest. Part of the discussion with Bill Richardson is that a lot of this is the folks in the back of the jets, and while they may come flying in at one point, well then they're also sitting on a deck somewhere enjoying the Nantucket as it is, and hopefully we'll sort of help to understand that this really can, if we can reduce some of the emissions and operations, if they can, you know, fire up the APUs for 15 minutes instead of 30 and have the jets at the same, you know, level that they need them. So I think that those are all, you know, good items that we can continue to work on. I think it was a real positive meeting as well. I would look forward to, you know, discussing this with the new manager. I was really encouraged with some of Mr. Rafter's responses to the questions. He didn't jump right to noise when asked about environmental. He talked about groundwater and wildlife and, you know, his familiarity with some of those issues. So that's really just an update there. And then finally, we did have a discussion on the South Ramp expansion project, which I think we're going to tie into the next meeting on the 2nd as it relates to the overall the overall engineering projects, and trying to figure out how we want to prioritize that and whether we want to start ramping up some efforts for some public input and dialogue through the summer season. And I think that was really about it, and I would defer to Sheila if you had anything you wanted to add. I thought it was very productive.
I think it was great. We had a good meeting.
As a bystander, I would say the same thing.
Thanks.
Any questions? David, you have any thoughts? All right. Then we will move on to subcommittee assignments. I guess we have 2. I forgot my list, but Carl was on personnel and he was on airfield policy and facilities maintenance. I guess one question is, do we want to fill these now or wait until the new commission is in place?
Can we wait? I mean,
I don't think we have, no, because I mean, we changed from one member to 2. Mm-hmm. The good thing is you don't have to post meetings if there's only one member of the committee. My thought would be just wait and reorient this, you know.
Sure.
That's fine with me.
Okay. Everybody? All right, thank you. Would you remind us, please, Janine? Sure. In June? Operations report, Bill?
Okay, I guess the most important one that's been going on is the paving project. Still going along very well. I think we've been very fortunate to have great weather. You know, we've had the runway intersection closed since Tuesday morning. We've had good weather. I'm sure it's had an impact, but I don't think it's been a huge impact. At least the local operators have been able to operate. And Jeff, I didn't get a briefing at the end of the day, but so if you heard anything new, the last I heard was that we should have the intersection back by the midday to mid-afternoon tomorrow. That's still on?
The intersection itself is all
They finished the paving today? So that'd be good. So basically the paving on the intersection is complete. There'll be runway marking tomorrow. As soon as that's set up and all, we'll get 1533 back, which will give us still a day-night instrument weather runway with the 500-foot extension. It was interesting last week when that's all we had for a runway, seeing some of the larger jets able to use the runway. So there'll still be after tomorrow, still somewhat of an impact. Still on schedule at this point to have our main runway 624 back up and operational by a week from today. So that will be operational before Daffodil weekend.
Okay. That's what I was
now,
ask.
the hope is that will be totally complete with the paving, but there is a contingency plan in case there's a glitch with the paving. I know it looks like the forecast now we may have a couple days of rain Sunday into Monday. But if that were to happen, there is a plan in place that will get the runway open. May not be completed, but open and usable. So all in all indications, the project's just been going well. Not only going well on schedule, but the quality of the work. The engineers continue to say they're very impressed with the quality of the work we're getting. So that's very positive.
Bill, did they, how was the structure underneath the top grinding? Did everything holding up?
Yeah, fine.
Good.
They crack sealed what needed to be sealed.
And were you putting new cans and stuff in as well? Is that how the lights?
They're doing now, yes.
Are the cans new or they were just resetting them?
The cans themselves are, there are spaces.
Spaces,
You can't
right.
take the cans out of the concrete. They're adjusting them.
Okay, so that's on the paving. Dan mentioned briefly on the next project that's coming up, the runway 24 edge lights and the airport-wide signs and the fencing. Jeff and I attended a meeting at the regional office last Friday. We were accompanied by Steve Flesher from Jacobs, our engineering firm. And, basically that was to try to follow up again on, if for some reason we weren't able to get this project going. And again, they made it very clear, and this has been going on for some time. These deficiencies had been noted some time ago at last year's annual airfield inspection. I guess at that point it was basically made somewhat clear that we kind of got a pass last year because the project was being engineered and designed and with the intent of having it done this coming fall. And basically after discussing that with the FAA, I mean, if for some reason the project does not happen, they will start a process with a letter of investigation as to why the project isn't being done, with a potential civil penalty. They said the civil penalties could go up as high as $100,000. And they're not saying they would do that, but that's the risk that we take by not getting the project done. And the worst case scenario would be actually to decertify the airport, losing its Part 139 certification. And although they said that is a step that could be taken, they also indicated that was quite remote. But still, the importance is to get it done. And the other side of that is not only staying in compliance, but because of the condition of the runway lights. And again, Jeff, jump in. He's the one who's been maintaining them and dealing with them for years. But the condition is quite fragile. If we start having issues with the lights and we can't maintain them and keep them going, we end up in a situation where we could have to basically say that our main runway 624 would not be usable under certain conditions, nighttime weather conditions. So, I've continued to, I know there's been, issues in making this go forward, but it's, from an operational standpoint, it still remains to be very important to get the job done. The fencing that Dan mentioned, I understand that and we did have the a bid alternate to have it bid with or without the fence. I'm not exactly sure how that was set up. I haven't seen the documentation, but and I understand the fact that $200,000 is $200,000. But when you look at the fact that if we don't do that 5,000-foot of fence, the fence is very fragile. I think the guys have been out working on fence, recently.
You can't even repair the barbed wire. If you go to put a piece in between, when you go to tighten tension, the rest of it breaks.
So although not doing it, but when you look at the 2.5% of $200,000, without my calculator, I mean $5,000 is $5,000. But when you look at airfield maintenance, if we don't do the fence and we're out there, multiple times over the next year or 18 months, then...
I understand. I had to give something.
I hear you. I hear you.
Then, of course, you have the deer issue, too, if they...
Well, then if the fence does happen to fall down, and we have wildlife issues and safety issues, not security issues, safety really, number one. If we get deer in there and we start doing that. So there's a lot of factors there. Just so you're all aware that when we don't do that.
Bill, do they have to be done together, lighting and signage, or if we do one part of it, will the FAA say, okay, you're proceeding? I mean, like the runway lights most important, or the signs most,
Jeff, runway lights, I guess, but I don't know how we split
I don't know how you
out.
separate.
Well, I think there's also a cost savings because so much of it is being done concurrently when the lights, and speak,
They're both in horrible shape. I'd like to invite you to come out with me someday and show you how bad they are. They've been this way for a while. We keep replacing individual fixtures when they go. The signs have been in bad shape for at least 5 years, and the lights are too close to the runway for the height of them. You wanted me last year at the inspection to cut the lights off and drop them down to, I believe it was 18 inches. But if you just lean against the light, it will fall over. So it's impossible to do. They need to be done really bad. There's no two ways about it. And even the fence, you can go up to the fence and give it a kick and you're going to put your foot.
The fence, we get the same issue, so.
If there's any doubt in anybody's mind, I just want to bring it out there.
No, I just didn't know if the FAA started.
It has to be done, or I don't know what you do. They just fall over, we can't afford to fix them, I guess. I don't know.
Well, again, I felt it was you know, I did talk to Bill before I gave it up, and you know, there was an issue of trying to be responsive, and, you know, it's going to have to go back in the next year or so and stay in.
Yeah, we'll have to get it back in.
Yeah.
And probably, you know, the next time, instead of, you had it phased at 5,000.
Well, you know,
feet a year.
one of the things we consider is going back in for an extra $200,000 next year to do this plus the next 5,000 feet. I don't know. We'll have to talk that through.
I mean, obviously, it needs to be looked at into the future.
We also have to, I mean, what is your idea, Jeff, on the timing of the light replacement? I know as soon as possible, but literally, you're not going to do it in July, are you?
No, I
It
think.
won't be done till this fall.
Right.
But if we don't make an effort to show them that it is going to get done.
Right. Well, we've got a bid, you know, we've got the bids out.
Right. That's still moving forward.
And we will make the application for the reimbursement, so that's a good start.
Right.
And there is an issue, frankly, of the timing, because the town will go out for its short-term financing. The new rule, again, is no funding, no contract. So ideally, this would be funded in May. The contract would be signed sometime up to 120 days from now, I guess it would be. So that takes us to the middle of August. The problem is there's a 2-week window in late May, early June. They have the bonds, or the notes will be issued about June 8th, and they need 2 weeks. And part of what they need within 2 weeks is the assurance that the grant money is coming, because they basically put that up as security for the notes. And that is a very narrow window timetable for the FAA to get back to us on the grant application. So what we've asked Bill Richardson to do is, from Jacobs, is to talk to the FAA and see whether that's in fact feasible. Otherwise, what we may have to do is rebid it so that it would coincide with a funding in September, but we're still going to have to go forward with the grant application. So we've got to work out the kinks of that. Hopefully, the FAA, because this is a project they're very familiar with and want us to do, and it's entitlement money, so we're not up against anybody else, will be helpful in expediting the approval. But we'll have to wait and see. You know, there are many moving parts in all these things, unfortunately.
I would just add that I did get the feeling at the Finance Subcommittee meeting this morning when we talked about the lights that some of the town officials got it. I think we have their, their support on. We explained exactly what you said. We talked about kicking it over kind of thing. And
I'd be happy to bring them up.
Yeah, well, this is what we talked about a tour, and I'll offer that to Patty Rogamine
But
tomorrow.
I think they believe it on that one.
Yeah. Okay.
The other part of that meeting, it was kind of a dual meeting, is also the configuration of the commercial ramp. The airfield inspector, basically we have what's called a taxiway obstruction-free area that we need to comply with for the large transport category aircraft, JetBlue, Air Wisconsin, the jets, and the large turboprops that come in and off the ramp. So due to that, it's requiring some reorganization and redesign of the commercial ramp, which we're working on, which will basically move the jets around a little bit. We had already kind of started this process for some other reasons, so that's doable. But just so this commission understands, one of the issues, and this goes back many years, but when the decision was made to do the terminal rehabilitation and addition rather than a new terminal back when it was deemed we couldn't afford to do it, the terminal moved. We basically expanded the terminal onto the ramp. The ramp we can't expand because we're already up against the runway intersection. So we basically, by putting the terminal on the ramp, we've really tied the airport's hands. There's no place to go with these airplanes. And these requirements are becoming more stringent as we go forward. So by this new requirement that we're working on, we just lost some more usable pavement coming in towards the building. So where the building came out, this is coming in, and we have basically very, very little room to put airplanes on our commercial ramp. So we're also, part of the thing we're looking for to enhance revenue we want to enhance revenue, and one of the potential ways is additional service. I mean, it's difficult to go out there and try to attract additional service when you tell them you have no ramp to put their airplane on. And at the same time, our concerns with noise, and we're looking at the Vail program, the noise issues, we're stuffing all these airplanes on the ramp, but it becomes a real safety issue. You know, we're already putting probably more airplanes on the ramp than we'd like to, and so, I mean, just so you're aware of it, it's one of those things that was for whatever, I don't know all the background, I can remember being involved on the other side of the street here, opposing what was going on, but now we're stuck with it for, you know, many, many years to come, so. Another real challenge, frustrating challenge, really, when you look at when we're trying to set this ramp up, but. So it's basically going to mean that what these changes are going to mean is all those larger airplanes are going to have additional ground support, ground equipment, labor intensive, which the airlines won't like, but they're going to have to push these airplanes back with a tug. JetBlue will no longer be able to sit on that corner and motor in and out because they can't sit there. So we're going to have to shift all those airplanes down, which basically as we shift those airplanes down, where are we shifting them? Farther towards Airport Road, farther towards residential homes, and we have no choice. It's the only place to put them. So, you know, we're not shifting them that far, but you know, the closer we move them that way, the more of a potential. But there's, you know, we sat there and we've been playing with this for weeks now, a number of meetings, and that's just what we're up against. It's the only way we're going to accommodate these airplanes and comply with the FAA requirements. You know, they're supportive, they understand our problems, but we still, you know, it's safety first. These are requirements that have to be met.
Just a question on that, Bill. Mm-hmm. Is there a plan that's being produced of the layout?
Yes, got one early today, got a revision later in the day, and it's still a little bit of a moving target, but we're pretty much, there aren't that many options, because not only do we have that issue, but then we have an issue with the clear area of using runway 1533 with protected airspace, with the tail heights of airplanes, how far they have to be pulled into the building for the tails to clear while they're sitting there. So a lot of factors, and they're all being looked at. But we do have late today we got a kind of somewhat of a, probably the final plan, because there's no more options, is the way the airplanes are going to have to park. But it does basically shift them a little bit farther to the northwest, closer to Airport Road.
Could we maybe get a copy of that?
You may. You may. You just have to park them, don't worry about it. We'll let you know. It actually just, I mean, late today we got another revision. Let's see, what else did I have? I mean, I know the next Dave's going to give us his information on the noise. Just so you know, the commission did vote to move forward with the new noise equipment, and be honest with you, we've obviously been working on a lot of other things, but I did talk with them today. They were curious when we were going to really move forward. Maybe Janine, where did I mean, that's just another list of things to do.
Yes, it's on my list of contracts to draft up.
But I haven't pushed Janine either, because there's there's a budget issue here too on the funding. So I mean, it hasn't been forgotten about. It's there. I think we still see the need for it. But I guess if my choice is new noise equipment or fencing for safety and security, I'd rather have fencing. But we'll see where that goes. But it hasn't been forgotten about. One thing, the two contracts for airfield equipment maintenance, actually Janine and I spoke a little bit today. She brought it to my attention that by her accounting, that brings us very close to our budgeted number for equipment maintenance for the fiscal year. And I didn't get a chance to catch David, but we've got something coming up with fire truck maintenance that you normally do before the inspection?
Yeah, the vehicle inspections of all three vehicles, testing of the foam system, and discharging of the dry chemical systems, which is required.
And that is so that is a requirement. So I'll have to get some additional information to you. But from what I was shown today, the estimate for that, and I wasn't sure whether it was required before that. And I'm sorry to have this conversation here, but I wasn't sure if that was a requirement. So that's a requirement. We're going to have to revisit that in the very near future as to...
How much are we talking about?
It was either, Dave, was it 14 or 17,000?
It's like, but that's for twice a year. Yes,
Right.
but it's like 16 something.
Yeah.
But our Janine's calculation, not ours, it looked like, and Tina was gone this afternoon, we're going to have to revisit that. So there may be a need to deal with that situation.
We have to look at the whole picture.
I think, the other, still nothing back from the FAA on the tower business plan. Nothing there, nothing back from the FAA. Actually, Bill Richardson reached out again on the FAA back to the parallel taxiway follow-up from our meeting that didn't exist. That still, I'm trying to think what the response, it was a very, very odd response to that, but still no update from the FAA on that end.
That response you got was pretty odd. Your note to Michelle Ritchie.
Yes. Well, that note came from Bill Richardson.
did it?
That was Bill, yeah, so that's the one I was talking about. I can't remember, but it was another, makes you wonder, but anyways, that's what I have.
Okay, thank you. Any questions?
I have a question. A couple meetings ago, you guys were talking about turning the jets around over at the...
Yes.
Did that take place yet? Have you guys got to
The operations has the option to, the ramp's been so quiet between the time of
Yeah.
year, the paving project, which no doubt has, but they are currently authorized to do that. We actually talked about that at the staff meeting a little bit this past Wednesday, how that's going to do. And we did have a conversation, started the conversation or continued the conversation on how we're going to educate the pilots on that end too. So it's in the works. Thank you.
Thank you. David?
The yearly operational summary, number of aircraft takeoffs and landings through the month of March, total 18,997. From the base year of 1986, it's down 38.1%, and the percent change from March of last year is 21.76 down.
Since last?
Last year, yeah. Well, last year in March, we had 7,577 operations, and this year we had 5,000.
It's interesting, though, if you look at the monthly totals, first of all, GA is up 23%. For the first 3 months of this year versus the first 3 months of last year, which I take as a very encouraging sign, despite the fact that I don't think I saw an airplane out there anytime I was there, but...
Could be Mike Joseph, he commutes every day in his GA airplane.
Yeah, well, maybe so, but no, it's a little more than that. I mean, in January a year ago, it was 990 and 1252, and that's
Well, the
more.
weather's been so, this weekend was a lot of singles in.
But March was up even by not as much as the other two, but still. March, on the other hand, was way down on the air taxis, which I find interesting.
I haven't looked at these numbers yet.
No,
so
I'm just,
not
I haven't seen, I haven't looked at them until now either, but I don't know what, it's still got
There's
to
still
look.
a Nantucket shuttle factor going on.
There's a Nantucket shuttle factor in there, but interesting that March was such a drop.
And I actually eliminated that slide per your request, because it was deceiving.
Right, yeah, no, this is good. This is better. What I would love to have on here somewhere is, I don't know if you can fit it in, but there's an extra column that gives the cumulative total by month for last year. So we can compare that, without having to add it up. So what it is for the 3 months versus 3 months last year.
Okay.
We can figure out how to do that. That would be great. Is there a need to have the instrument?
This is just the form the FAA sends me.
Okay. This
So
is their form. Okay.
This is their form.
All right. All right. Okay. Then you better not fuss with it.
And then the graph.
Yep, okay. Appointments.
Yeah. Passenger enplanements, total through March, 21,403. Percent change from the base year of 1986, it is up 3.36%.
Is there a reason we use that base year?
That was just, I inherited that, and that was in there. I can eliminate
I don't know how other
it.
people feel. I'd rather have it, a comparison against last year and against, maybe 5 years ago.
Yeah, I don't know.
Rather than, I don't.
Even just 10 years.
Well, I think year to year is interesting.
Yeah.
They have that on the next column. Oh, the next page. Yeah, the back side of that page.
Yeah, the graph.
Right here.
This,
He shows the prior to the previous year.
oh, yes, yeah, okay.
As far as employments, percent change from the difference from last year, we're down 19.37%.
Right. Okay.
Freight, total of 385,169 pounds so far this year. Won't go through the base year. It's up 5.48% from last year. Noise complaints, I had received one noise complaint for the month of March. That was that helicopter conducting the survey out in the Tom Nevers area. Through the year, total of 11 complaints total.
Do we have to even register that as a noise complaint? I mean, it was advertised, it was, not that it's gonna change our numbers much, it's just.
For the incentive goal for the award for the airlines, observed 359 flights. The AMA Marine Home Center was 100% compliant. Cape Air and Nantucket Airlines, I observed 2 that were non-compliant. Island Airlines 1, and there were 2 GA single-engine aircraft that were non-compliant. They all came in with the beating the 85% incentive goal. Total days of flying last month, there were 17 VFR days and 14 IFR days. And this month, actually, the time blocks I took, Nantucket Air and Island Air, they actually came up with the same amount of flights, the exact same amount of flights were compared, so.
Well, it was a Monday, there were a lot of people in the afternoon going over my house. I don't particularly bother me, but it was interesting, because in the afternoon there were...
They've moved the X. It's on your house now.
Yeah, I guess so.
So again, this month, Island Air won the incentive award with 99.32%. They had 1 non-compliant, and Cape Air had 2 non-compliant, so they both did very well. And that's it.
All right, any questions? Thank you. Let's move on to commissioners' concerns. Oh, I'm sorry, did we do, yes, commissioners' concerns. Sheila, do you have any? David?
Oh, yeah. The damn parking lot. I can't say it any nicer. Those guys are out there 8, 9, 10 times a day sometimes. I know we have parts, or they've gotten prices for parts or whatever like that, but it's getting out of control. And whether we open the gates until it gets fixed, I know the restaurant now has sent emails to the commission and calls to operations over the weekend. I don't know. Bill, Jeff, pull it out with the machine? I don't know.
We did discuss it.
Somebody would run it over, but they can run over the exit instead of the inside.
There's no warranty or anything, of course, at this point.
It's over a year.
Janine, if I could, because I talked to Chris about it early this morning before you came in. Where do we stand on that, his request for?
Yeah, that came late last week to me, and with last weekend's plans and stuff, I haven't had a chance to really move forward on that, but it's a high priority.
You know, we did, Chris Wilson, our new employee who's kind of handling the parking lot now, he's been in touch with the company. The company's just standing by if we can, you know, once we can work our way through the procurement issue and get them out here to look at it. I know you'd sent me an email, and I looked into I was just trying to get a feel for the dollar amount if we were to open the gate, and it's still I don't have the numbers in front of me here, but it's still a sizable amount. I mean, if we just leave the gate open, you know, especially with what's going on right now, I mean, I know it's a customer service issue. We're upsetting people with the problem. We are spending, you know, the staff's time and effort, but just to open the gate until we try to get this resolved, you know, when I looked at it.
Well, we could always go back to the guy at night shift putting tickets on the car or something. I mean, the restaurant now is sending emails out.
I think from an operational standpoint and a customer service standpoint, that's probably the best thing to do. But now you factor in the financial situation, you know, are we willing to, you know, are we willing to give that money away? You know, that's where, you know, the first thing after I got your email, I looked at that.
Can we get, how long would it be before the company might be in a position to be here?
They're ready to come. They're just waiting to know they're going to get paid.
What do we have?
We just may have to do a contract first, that's all.
That's all.
That's all. You know,
I mean, it's just, you know, it's...
You know, there's 5 people involved in that, so.
I mean, it's...
How much are we talking about? Have they given us an estimate?
They have, and although it's not much, it's because we've paid them so much in the past 3 years that it's pushing it over that.
If we could go back a year, we're in good shape. We go back...
That was the policy. They changed it back?
I've been told it's 3 years.
I haven't been told anything different. We were still playing the 3-year game. In the past 3 years.
Check that with Diane recently?
Not recently.
I would, just because I have a recollection that it was...
Mass law is 1 year, I think.
The AG's office said 1 year was okay, but...
Well, just double check. Tell her we've got a real problem with this. And we have a revenue problem that goes along with it. And see if, I mean, you know, don't beat her up, but they've changed their mind. Because I had heard I have it in the back of my head that they had done that.
It seems like it's been a little inconsistent, but we'll find out.
I mean, do you want to make a motion to any effect, David, or?
I mean, with the restaurant's emails, and it's happened to me the last couple of weekends, twice or 2 or 3 times that I've been going out for coffee, and I mean, I was pretty much at the point to just open the gate and leave it open, and if we have to have the guy at midnight shift go back to sticking the tags out for a little while, I mean, I don't know, but...
We can certainly...
I don't know what we're looking at for finance, what we'd be losing.
We could park somebody there during the day. One of our guys, and when the thing breaks, we can go over there and reset it.
Well, that's what you're basically doing already. I mean, it's...
We have to wait till the guy gets there.
It's...
You know, it's a catch-22. If you can't get the parts, you can't fix the thing. You leave it open, but you're going to lose a lot of money. I'll do whatever you like.
How many times a day is it happening?
10, 15.
Per day?
Yeah. I mean, I'd motion, depending on what the fine, I don't know what the number is, Bill, that we'd possibly lose for a while, but I don't know, it just seems awfully when you have the ops guys over there, and if something happens, and you're really going to be in trouble then, so.
It's actually getting to the point where it's wearing out. Taking it, open it up and close it so much that the thing is, it needs to be replaced.
I'd make a motion that we open the gates and leave them open until we can get the thing fixed, get the money appropriated, or however we got to do it, and if we have to take and do the tickets at night again for a few months, I'd so be it.
Excuse me, Ginny, when do you think realistically that this might be fixed?
Excuse me, first, is there a second to the motion?
Well, I just want to get that answer
No,
before.
but I think we have to have a second
For
first.
discussion, yeah, absolutely, I mean.
Not hearing a second, the motion fails. I would suggest that you just try to figure out a way to get this thing fixed as soon as possible. maybe we put a sign up even that just say, we understand, we realize there are problems with it, and we appreciate people's patience, something to that effect. It's,
They're not, though. They're leaving. They're going out to other restaurants right now. I mean...
I think unfortunately it's already, it's gone on long enough. I mean, before I got there, it's gone on. There's already, there's damage done, and I'm sure it's affecting the restaurant. I'm sure it's probably affecting the gift shop. So it's been an ongoing thing. I mean, my understanding, it's been that way since the system went in.
Now, I've had issues with it for a long time, but now it just seems to be ridiculous, and that's just where I was. And
any other comments on this?
One thought, I wonder if it may help if, Mr. Chairman, if you spoke with the procurement officer to explain, I'm not, well, any one of us, but as the chair, is such a unique situation.
I'm going to ask Janine to do it first.
Yeah, I don't know how that, I'm just wondering if there's anything else we could do to explain the severity of the situation from the commission level.
Well, maybe we'll get lucky and we'll get the answer that we can go back 1 year, then that's going to make life much easier. If we don't get that answer, I'll talk to her. I'll try next time.
yeah, I mean, if not, just maybe we just open it on weekends, and during the week we keep it closed. I don't know. It's just...
I did ask. I mean, it was one of the things that Tina was going to work on me, but she got, we start down this road and we end up with another, more higher priority project, so I didn't get the numbers in the last couple of days.
All right, well, let's keep at it, and hopefully by the time we meet again, it will be at least resolved for the moment.
Dan, if they're standing by, where are they standing by from? How, like, if it gets approved, like, in a week, like, where are they coming from?
Well, they travel around the country, but I mean, I think they get them here in a week.
It's a Massachusetts office that they're working out of, so I think they could be here within a day.
Okay.
They have the part. They're ready to go. They need to train Chris.
Yeah, we want training and to fix
To replace that part.
what they think needs to be fixed.
It's a matter of procurement. And that's with a lot of things.
All right. Anything else, David?
No, I'll keep quiet.
I have one thing. I actually have a revenue idea. With our website, could we sell some advertising on it for revenue? Just something to throw out.
You're forgetting who's doing the website these days.
Okay.
So you want the parking lot fixed or something sold on the website?
Just throwing out a revenue
Well, if we get
idea.
enough revenue from that, we can open the gates
Yeah.
to the market.
It's a great idea.
Anyway, a lot of people do it, so.
I think it's something to put in the hopper. Absolutely.
Hopper's going to get full
NetJets,
eventually.
NetJets, some of the charter companies, they could, restaurants, not to make more work for you, Janine, but just an idea.
Okay, thank you. Rebecca? I got several things. First of all, the forensic audit was a subject topic. Our recommendation to continue the forensic audit was a topic of discussion. At last night's selectmen's meeting, Arthur and I were there. I made the pitch for it. He was much more successful in his pitch to put a member of the commission on the audit review committee, which they agreed to do. So we need to decide on who that's going to be. But before we do that, the general tone was wait till the Attorney General's report comes out, wait till the forensic audit is out, wait till the town accountant's report is out. I tried to persuade them at least the first two had nothing to do with it. I wasn't going to say anything about the third one. But the reaction was wait for all these things, and we don't want to spend another dime on the airport. So that came from 2 selectmen. The other 3 were pretty quiet. So that's where that stands. Would somebody like to make a motion of a representative to the Forensic Audit Committee from this commission?
Art Gasparo.
I would second that.
I would third it, so let's make it unanimous.
I'll keep
The
you
forensic
posted.
audit, speak about, I mean, he's called. He's supposed to call me tonight, so I'm assuming it's still moving forward.
Well, yeah, the problem is where there's no money left to pay them. They're within $300 or so of the limit.
All right, because I know I was contacted
Actually,
today.
I guess they're talking about extending the contract, but again, one of the problems from my perspective is that maybe there could be a little stronger management of the process. Because.
I'd like to see someone's
Well,
report.
that's why I wanted one of us
Yeah,
involved.
exactly. So,
I'll report back. I could just add one thing, Mr. Chairman, on
Yes.
that. I mentioned afterwards to the chair of the Board of Selectmen that perhaps it would be helpful if that body were to send a letter to Assistant Attorney General O'Donnell indicating that the town would appreciate the report his report in order to help put this kind of behind us. And she was quite receptive to that. So I don't know exactly where that'll go in terms of.
probably have to wait till next week to make a decision.
Yeah, I don't know, but I did mention it to her, and she thought it was a good idea.
It's a black cloud.
Whether it happens or not, maybe.
Okay. Next thing, I have failed to report back to you on our attempt to make a contribution to the Chamber of Commerce for Daffodil Weekend. The request for payment was bounced by the Finance Department on the grounds that it was a charitable contribution, which is illegal for a public entity in Massachusetts. I tried to persuade them that the Chamber of Commerce was not a charitable institution within the definition of the law. Its tax-exempt status is limited and is under a separate section of the Internal Revenue Code. That fell on relatively deaf ears, even when I pointed out that the Chamber of Commerce gets a substantial amount of money directly from the Commonwealth itself. And so it was finally decided that the issue should go to Town Council. And this is when all this other stuff started to bubble up just before town meeting, whenever it was. It was, when we were in the midst of all this financial stuff. And I said, I don't want to pay Town Council $1,000 to get their opinion that we can pay the Chamber of Commerce $1,000. So the bottom line is we're not paying them this year. I would like to get back in there and do it, but unfortunately, I think that there are bigger fish to fry right now. So, sorry. The other thing we should talk about is TV coverage. We are paying $800 a meeting, I believe. This was supposed to stop quite some time ago, and while I do not mean to offend Gino or Channel 17, again, given the financial, and we don't know when the other's starting up, but given the financial situation, I would like to recommend that we suspend television coverage, as much as it pains me to do that. And I would even apologize to the audience for proposing that, but I think given everything else, over the next couple of months, that'll add up to a substantial amount of money. And
I have to agree, even though, same thing, it pains me, and we'll just keep our fingers crossed for the PEG channel. They get these cameras, they're working on it.
is there any, David, how do you?
No, it really pains me because it's highly watched. I mean, I think more people are watching it now than even the Selectmen's meeting lately, so.
It's a lot of money, though.
You know, it is a lot of money. Maybe we put it back out. Well, I mean, the PEG channel's coming online, so it's not really.
At some point, maybe, but it was supposed to
I
be,
mean,
yeah.
and maybe we could.
Maybe they'll negotiate.
New contract, new temporary, I don't know.
We'll look into it, but I think unless we can work out something considerably more favorable, I would move that we suspend it.
I'd make that motion if you need a motion for that. I mean, unfortunately, but.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Reluctantly, but, yeah.
Reluctantly, but yes. Bill, would you mind giving Gino a call tomorrow and then telling him?
Why not?
I know the news will get back sooner, but
Remind me.
the other thing I wanted to mention quickly was, the whole issue of customer service. And, Art mentioned it a little earlier in the context of the education of people about noise issues and so on. But I would hope that I know a lot of people have a lot on their platters, but I think one of the things that is very important is to impress upon those people who are coming to work here for the summer, and the people who already work here who deal with the public, that they are the people who really make the impression on customers with the airport. And anything we can do to support them in putting on the best face of themselves and the best face of Nantucket to these people will be very helpful. I recognize it's all pretty intangible, but which brings me to a related subject, which is the subject of tipping. And a friend of mine told me he flew in to the FBO recently, and he offered the person who was parking the plane and so forth a $20 tip, and the young person said, "I can't take it." And he said, "Oh, come on, you can take it." And the reaction he got back was, "I can't, they're watching." So, I think one thing, it's hard for these people to not take a tip if it's offered to them. And one of the things, again, we need to do is educate the customers that we have a no tipping policy. And the first thing I personally would recommend is that on that same sign that has fuel prices on it, put no tipping. Maybe people buy more fuel if they knew they didn't have to tip. I don't know. But seriously, I think we need to...
You had mentioned that, I forgot.
We need to put up signs, simple signs that say, Nantucket Airport has a no tipping policy or something like that. Just so, again, as part of the customer service, because people don't like, when people offer a tip and it's refused, they don't like it either. So, I'm just putting that on the table.
Can't they make a fund they can donate it out to the airport so we can start doing our projects?
Finally, I would thank other people, but I would really like to thank Janine and Yolanda, particularly Janine, for her efforts in support of the assessment and interview weekend. Because I think it was
Job well done.
as good a job as could have been done.
I gotta say, the Rose and Crown thing, I was impressed with the amount of people that showed up. It was really good, and I was very happy to see the amount of employees that showed up. That really made a
I thought that
big
was very
statement.
nice. Yeah.
That made a huge statement. Almost every one of the candidates commented on that.
So it's the only way we can entertain them.
Yeah, Mike O'Neill made an impression.
Yeah, he always does.
Yeah.
Is there public comment at this time? Mrs. Topham, please.
Jeanette Topham. I have a question. Do you have property, the airport has property in Matacacham? Is it a house, and is it available or suitable for the new manager? Is that something you've thought of or not?
Yeah, we've thought of it. It's not winterized. It's
Really?
it's used for seasonal housing.
Thank you.
I wish it were.
I know.
But in that vein, I would ask if anybody here or anybody who's listening, watching, has any leads on housing, particularly potentially short-term transitional housing for the new airport manager who has a wife and 3 children. I don't know whether he has pets or not, but please call the airport office if you know of anybody in that
I
situation.
believe there's a lady at the FBO looking to rent her house right now, so it may, she may be able to be putting that up on the market, so.
Okay. Good, thank you. All right. With that, I would accept a motion to go into executive session for the purpose of reviewing executive session minutes of March 1, March 13, and March 27 for possible release, and to discuss strategy with respect to collective bargaining or litigation which, if held in open session, may have a detrimental effect on the bargaining or litigation.
I would make that motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor? Mr. Gray?
Aye.
Mrs. Egan?
Yes.
Mr. Gasparo? Aye. Mr. Drake says aye. Thank you. We will not reconvene in public
Thank you
session.
for not making me put my hearing aid on. Have a nice time, Sheila.
Thank you.
Wonderful vacation.
Thank you.
Okay, bye-bye.
All right, you're finished.
There's the pitcher, Leslie Ruiz, up. Takes strike 1. Rarely in the spring, Dick, do we complain about the sun being in our eyes.
I know it.
But it is.
We're actually having a spring on Nantucket, which is quite rare too. Somebody said, "Oh, it was a great winter." I said, "Yeah, we have had great winters over the years, but we don't normally have great springs."
Boy, I'll tell you, we need some rain. I ate a lot of dust on my baseball diamond.
Yeah, yeah, it's very dry, and all around the state. You know, it's very dry. We do need some rain. The showers forecast actually for tonight doesn't look like they're going to come, but they're forecast for tomorrow and Thursday, and it would be nice to get some showers in.
And that's the end of the third 2.5.
So we thank Gino Gang for filming today's game. Dennis Karen on the book. This is Dick Herman saying good night for Whaler Sports TV, TV 17, Nantucket's channel for high school sports. And remember to put a smile on your face each and every day, even if you have to laugh at yourself. Go Red Sox! You don't need any more offense, no. You just want to work on some of your skills.
That's a moving pick. You don't want them to come back with vengeance in the years to come.
Well, league games, so Nantucket's got to travel up to Bridgewater Raynham later this year, so that will...
They got a beautiful AstroTurf field.
Bridgewater Raynham would be waiting for them then. If they weren't ready today, they'll be ready in May when we travel up there.
Well, if the coach is smart, he can go on genotv.com, can look at the nice shot and score by number 8 for Nantucket. Yep. Is that correct? Is it number 8 or is it 6?
8.
8? I don't have 8 on my...
Caroline Nutti. Is that how you say her last name? K-N-U-T-T-I?
Oh, is 47 scored it?
I have an 8. I have an 8 on my roster.
No, Caroline's 47. Canetti?
Canetti, I have 8. I have 8. I have a roster that I got from the school.
Oh, maybe they... I don't think it was Caroline.
No, number 8 scored.
Yeah, because I think because they would have switched shirts. It almost looked, well, and number 8, the mystery girl. I'm going to write it down here. Open the door to your mystery date, number 8 for Nantucket. Well, that pushes it up to 16-4 with 8 minutes to go. And she's hustling back on defense.
Is there a 47 dressed now, too? I did see a 47 earlier, but...
Yeah, she was in the game earlier, but maybe she's right here. That's really I thought I got everybody and every number.
But I'm saying maybe could it possibly have changed jerseys during the game?
I don't think so.
That would be strange, yeah. All right, Bridgewater Raynham's got a open shot here.
Because I think she's probably warming up with some of the JV shot score. That's a good shot.
Okay.
I'm going to yell down to Breezy. Hey, Breezy! Breezy! Who's number 8?